Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming matchup between the Texas A&M Aggies and the Florida Gators. Week 3 college football, 3:30 ABC, the season opener, not season opener, conference opener for both of these programs. Both of these programs are trying to avoid a disastrous 1-2 start. The Texas A&M Aggies lost to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish week 1, who then lost to Northern Illinois last week, so that loss looks even worse on Texas A&M. Florida blown out by Miami. Came back with a victory over Samford, where DJ Lagway got his first official start as a quarterback for the Gators, and that's where we're going to start off. Billy Napier obviously fielding questions about whether or not DJ Lagway is going to start or not, and Graham Mertz should be returning from his concussion protocol this week. Billy Napier says that Florida doesn't intend to use both quarterbacks in the game against Texas A&M, and I kind of understand why he would stick with Graham Mertz as a starter, but wanted to sprinkle DJ in to get some reps throughout the season instead of throwing him into the fire already, being that he's still a freshman. For Texas A&M, they really need to get a spark going offensively. They even though they put up 52 points, their passing attack was not good against Samford. Connor Wigman did not look impressive at all in his match against Samford. He obviously looked worse against Notre Dame, and this is a game where I think this is where Florida has to play good disciplined football, and not make the same mistakes that they made against Miami. They have to do a better job with protection up front, because Texas A&M under their head coach Mike Elko like to disguise a lot of their blitzes, line up a bunch of guys along the line of scrimmage, and fake who's coming and who's going, who's dropping into coverage, which angle the pass rush is coming from. They disguise a lot of blitzes and coverages, so that's going to make them a tricky matchup. They're obviously not as good as Miami, but the way Florida has looked bad in the trenches against Miami, you would have to wonder if that game against Samford was more so because of who they were playing instead of what they were actually doing. Billy Napier is still struggling to find a combination that suits the offense right on offensive line. They're constantly rotating guys on the front line in and out of the lineups. They're rotating defensive linemen throughout, but that's okay. But that's okay with defensive linemen, that you can rotate those guys in and out to keep the pass rush fresh. But you don't want to do that with the offensive line, so they got to figure that out sooner rather than later, because this is where the schedule is going to start picking up. It's going to start with UCF and then Tennessee after the bye week, and then they play Kentucky, which Kentucky did not look that good against South Carolina. They got blown out. But sooner or later, that offensive line is going to have to gel together, because the schedule is going to get much harder for Texas A&M. They got to, like I said, got to get the offense going. The defense does. I mean, the defense has been all right. They weren't really the problem against Notre Dame. I mean, they kind of gave them some yards on the ground. Riley Leonard, the quarterback for Notre Dame, did not look that good in that game, nor did he look good last against Northern Illinois. So those pass defense numbers that they have are kind of like skewed in their favor. I think in this game, Florida, compared to Notre Dame, will have better receivers and better running backs. And I will say better quarterbacks, whether it's DJ or Graham, because Ryan Leonard just has not looked good. He looks like he's done a complete 180 from his time at Duke. He's just not the same QB as he was, even when he was injured last year. So I think Florida will be much better in those areas. Florida's defense is not as good as Notre Dame's. Miami kind of showed that, and they had a bounce back game against Samford, but then again, it's Samford. So you have to put so much stock into that performance. And for Billy Napier and for Mike Elko, you don't want to start off 1-2 in your tenure. This is a more must-win game for Billy Napier, obviously, with all the question marks surrounding his job security with Florida, how long he's going to stay with the Gators. Shane Matthews, a former Gator alum, did a podcast episode, and he claimed that somebody who knew Lane Kiffin out in Ole Miss was asking recruits if they were committing to Ole Miss for Ole Miss, or if they were recruiting Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin. Because now, if you're a head coach, why would you make that kind of a question if you know Mississippi is where you would want to stay? And I saw on X, I almost said Twitter, on X last week, he was building his dream house out in Oxford. So there's kind of conflicting reports of whether or not he is interested in the Florida job or isn't interested in the Florida job. And for Napier, if you want to at least put that to the put that speculation to rest for a little while, you have to win this game against Texas A&M, and you have to win your game against Mississippi State after a blowout loss to Miami. You can't afford one more loss heading into your first bye week. So this is a big game for both of these teams, and it's also a matter of something's got to give in the sense that Florida, since has not beaten a power conference opponent since South Carolina last year, and have not beaten a power conference opponent, whether it be in conference or out of conference, at the Swamp since Vanderbilt of last year. And Texas A&M, I couldn't believe this when I found this out, has not won a road game since 2021. So of all the crap that I gave Billy Napier for not being successful on the road these past two seasons, he has two more wins than Texas A&M has had in their final 3 years. In the over the two previous years, all of Texas A&M's losses have majority of the losses have come on the road. They did not win a road game in 2022 or in 2023. So I mean, Texas A&M's not a good team. Florida's not a good team. So I kind of picked Texas A&M before the season started to beat Florida because I trust the coaching staff of Mike Elko than Napier's. But it looks like it's going to take a longer time for Texas A&M than even some of their people, myself included, thought it would take. And for Billy Napier, it's desperation time. So keys to victory for Texas A&M, I think it's use those exotic blitz lineups to disrupt that Florida offensive line, put them in third and long situations. See if you can establish a run game on Florida's run defense because they have been porous against the run for several years now. I wonder if I know Florida is expected to have some players come back on the injury depth chart, so that should help them out a little bit. But like I said, confuse Florida's offensive line, establish a run game, put Florida in third and long positions, win with field position, and I think those will elevate Texas A&M's chances of winning the game because you don't want Connor Williams to feel like he has to try to do everything to carry the Aggies to victory. For Florida, what you want to do is you want to get out early and get out in the lead early, and put the pressure on them straight from the get go. I think you have some very good weapons. They need to do a better job establishing the run. So establish the run with Montrell Johnson. See if you can beat the Aggies defense to the outside with that toss play that you had that scored the touchdown against Miami. I would see if I could maybe send pressure to Connor Wegman early and often, win the turnover battle, get the crowd into the game, and just see if you can take control of the game early, and that will put you in a better position to win the game. So those are my keys to victory. Texas A&M versus Florida. I picked Texas A&M before the season started. I'm going to stick with it, though I'm not as confident, but I'm still not as confident as Florida because I just don't trust where the program is heading under Napier. But it should be a pretty fun game to watch.